Welcome to Cold Brew Finance's End of Week World FX, Stock Markets and Commodities Deep Dive for Friday, March 21st, 2025. Kicking things off, I'm Victoria Cashmore. In currency markets, the US dollar closed mixed against major currencies. The greenback strengthened notably against the euro and Japanese yen, while maintaining a strong negative trend against European currencies. Looking at weekly returns, the greenback showed strength against the euro, rising 0.7%. Month-to-date performance reveals broader weakness, with the dollar down notably against major pairs, particularly falling 4% against the euro. Over longer timeframes, the dollar shows mixed performance. Notable gains appear in the 3-year returns against the yen, up 7.7% annually. The 10-year view shows sustained strength against the Aussie dollar, gaining 2.2% annually. Among Asian currencies, the dollar fell sharply against the Indian Rupee, down 1% amid strong downward volatility. The offshore yuan and Singapore dollar saw modest gains against the greenback. Weekly performance shows the dollar declining most against the rupee, down 1.05%. Month-to-date figures indicate broader weakness, with notable declines against the Kiwi and Singapore dollar. Long-term returns reveal the dollar's strength against emerging markets. The 10-year view shows significant gains against the rupee, rising 3.3% annually, while showing weakness against the Singapore dollar.
Looking at global stock market tracking ETFs, I'm Max Profit. India led gains, rising 5.2% to 51.47. Norway and Brazil each advanced 2.8% amid strong upward trends. Singapore and Spain both recorded new yearly highs. Looking at month-to-date returns, Norway and Brazil show impressive gains of 9.8% and 10.2% respectively. Year-to-date, Spain leads with a 23.7% return, while India is slightly negative at -2.2%. Over the longer term, India shows strong 10-year performance with a 60.2% total return. Spain leads the 3-year returns at 52.2%. Singapore has outperformed over the past year with a 28.7% gain. Among underperformers, Turkey plunged 19.7% to a new yearly low. Indonesia fell 5.7% amid increased downward volatility. China declined 2.9%, while Hong Kong and Austria each dropped about 1.7%. Week to date, Turkey shows the steepest decline at -19.7%, while Indonesia is down 5.7%. Year to date, China maintains an 18.8% gain despite recent weakness. Austria remains up 23.7% for the year. Looking at longer time frames, Indonesia shows weakness across all periods, down 43% over 10 years. China leads 1-year returns at 38.8%. Despite recent declines, Turkey maintains a strong 55.5% 3-year return.
Considering commodities, I'm Liquidity. Gold futures and copper futures both hit new all-time highs, with copper rising 4.2% to close at 5.10. Silver futures dropped 2.5%, while palladium futures showed a strong negative trend. Copper futures leads year-to-date performance with a 26.7% return. Silver and gold both show strong gains of around 14.7% for the year. Palladium remains under pressure with negative returns across all time frames. Long-term performance shows gold, leading with a 155.5% total return over 10 years, averaging 9.8% annually. Silver follows with 98.7% total return. Aluminum and palladium show more modest gains, around 25%. In energy markets, Brent crude and crude oil futures both rose over 1.5%, despite very strong negative trends. Natural gas fell 3.6%, while heating oil advanced 3.8%. Year-to-date, gasoline futures and natural gas show gains of 9.3% and 8.8% respectively. Crude oil and Brent both reflect negative returns around -3% to -4%. 10-year performance shows crude oil leading with a 49.4% total return. Natural gas follows at 41.9%. Brent, heating oil, and gasoline all show modest gains around 22–30%. Feeder cattle futures hit a new all-time high, up 1.5% and marking 6 consecutive weekly gains. Live cattle showed upward volatility despite a slight decline. Lean hogs dropped for the second straight week. Year-to-date returns show feeder cattle leading with 8.9% gains. Lean hogs and live cattle both up around 5.9%. Class 2, milk continues its decline, down 8.8%. In livestock futures, feeder cattle futures achieved a new all-time high, closing at 286.48 after 6 consecutive weekly gains. Meanwhile, Class 2A milk futures shows a very strong negative trend, while lean hogs futures has closed down 2 weeks in succession. In grains, oat futures led gains with a 2.7% rise to 378, showing strong positive momentum. Rough rice futures fell 1.7% to 13.42, while soybean futures marked its 4th consecutive weekly decline. Year-to-date returns show oat futures leading the grain sector with a 14.4% gain. Rough rice futures and soybean futures both show negative returns, down 4.8% and 0.07% respectively. Looking at long-term performance, grain futures show modest 10-year annual returns. Oat futures leads with 3.1%, while wheat futures has the lowest at 0.3%. Rough rice and corn show middling returns around 2%. In soft commodities, coffee futures gained 3.4% to 390.15, showing very strong positive momentum. Orange juice jumped 5%, despite hitting a new one-year low, while cocoa recorded its 5th consecutive weekly decline. Year-to-date performance shows coffee futures up 22%, while orange juice has declined 44%. Cocoa is down 33%, and cotton shows a modest 4.5% decline. 10-year annual returns in soft commodities show cocoa and coffee leading with 10.9% and 10.5% respectively. Orange juice returns 9%, while cotton trails at 0.4%.
And with that, we conclude another end-of-week World Currency, Markets and Commodities episode. I'm Victoria Cashmore, along with my AI co-hosts Max Profit and Liquidity. Thanks for watching. Look for daily wrap-ups every day just after 5 p.m. New York time. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Cold Brew Finance is an experimental project with market reports written, narrated and delivered totally by AI, with market data kindly provided by financialmodelingprep.com. Always seek professional financial advice before making any investment decisions. Check into the channel daily for coverage of stocks, crypto, currency and commodities. Thanks for watching.